Hey, I'm Cornelis. Welcome to Your Band is a Business. Today I want to talk about how we as independent musicians can manipulate the algorithms of platforms in order to promote our music. Now, you've probably heard me talk before about sending out the right signals, sending out the right data points to platforms so that those platforms know what we're all about and so that those platforms can recommend us to the right people. So, for example, that means using hashtags on Instagram or tagging other artists, sharing other artists and bands, sharing their content in our stories, on our feed, all that kind of stuff. But that can seem, I don't know, it's hard to really see the concrete impact of that sometimes. Now, myself, I work in digital marketing as a freelancer, so I have a lot of experience working with all kinds of platforms, whether it's Google or Facebook, and I've met up with representatives from those companies. I've been to their offices here in London, in Dublin, and so I have an insight into how they want, how those platforms want individuals, companies, etc., to promote themselves. And they always talk about basically providing signals so that their algorithms can get an accurate picture of what your content is about, what your business is about, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, sometimes you have to kind of trust it, right? And for example, you're doing search engine optimization, SEO, and you do a lot of work creating content, building links, and then over time you will see your website rank higher on the SERPs, the search engine results page. But yeah, it's a bit of a black box, right? You're doing work and then you hope that it will have an effect. So what I want to show you is something that that shows you, okay, this is actually a real thing. Google, and I'm sure other platforms have similar technology, are very good at figuring out what content is about and how to create data points out of that, and I'm going to talk about how I think we can use this to our advantage. So here you can see one of my videos that I posted recently where I reacted and gave my opinion about something that Rick Beato had to say, and this video I was getting a lot of interesting comments. People didn't really get my sense of humor, and they thought I was insulting Rick. But I'm a big fan of Rick, so I don't know. It's kind of funny. But anyway, people were like leaving all kinds of crazy comments about how I'm a hater. But anyway, that's not the point. So if you go to this video, which is called "Does It Matter What Genre Your Music Is," and you go to the description section and hit more there so that it expands, right? If you scroll down, all the way down, you will see here a people mentioned section, and look at that. People mentioned Sting from The Police, Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, and Taylor Swift. Now here's the thing, I have not added any hashtags for these artists, for these people. The only way that YouTube was able to pick up on this is by listening to what I was talking about, because I mentioned those people in the video. So YouTube, and for some of you that this might be obvious, for other people you might think, wow, I didn't know that was possible. But yeah, YouTube can, the algorithm, the system, whatever you want to call it, can listen to what people are talking about in videos and pick out topics, but in this case specific people, and like I said, I'm sure it can pick out the topics of videos as well. If it can do this, it can do that. But anyway, what it's showing in this specific case is specific people that I'm talking about. Now, in my mind, this shows that YouTube is picking out these data points. What is it going to do with this? Well, what maybe this will mean that this particular video will have a slight weighting to be shown to people that are interested in Sting, Chris Cornell, and Taylor Swift. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be a situation where suddenly millions of Taylor Swift fans will be served my video, but it's going to be this extra little data point that YouTube is taking into account. And imagine that over time I have many videos where I mention Sting, Chris Cornell and Taylor Swift, and some of them are a bit more explicitly about these artists. Well then, those are extra data points that YouTube will take into account. So when somebody does a search for a video about Sting or Chris Cornell, there's going to be that extra little bit of chance that my video will be served. And remember, there's millions of people on YouTube every day, so even a tiny percentage of that is going to result in a couple of thousand views. Now for the content here on Your Band is a Business, I am not necessarily going after, I don't necessarily want to be shown to fans of Sting or Chris Cornell. It's fine, it's nice if those people are interested in those artists and they are interested in being an independent musician, then that's great. But this is kind of a nice bonus potentially. But it gave me an idea. Now I have already had the idea of doing a vlog for my artist channel, for Cornelis Gerard, as a way to talk about what's going on behind the music, in terms of my creatively speaking, what is inspiring me, kind of an insight into the artist, right? Not so much the practicalities of being an independent musician like I am on this channel. It's a bit more light, so I'm not going to go into the logistics of organizing a gig. It's more about, hey, I've got this gig coming up and these are the other bands that are going to be on the bill and I'm really excited about it, and that kind of stuff, more of a human interest type of thing. But that doesn't mean that I cannot strategically mention some artists, and I think I can do that in a very organic way, right? Because I can talk about my influences, for example, and that's a totally legitimate thing to talk about as an artist on a YouTube channel, right? And so I say I said manipulate the algorithms earlier. Manipulation is one of those words that can sound really sinister, but it really depends on the context. So my idea is, when I'm doing my vlog, I should just think of the artists that have influenced me. For example, I can do a video about that, or I can just mention, oh yeah, this song that's coming out, well, it's kind of influenced by this artist. Or I can talk about artists and bands that I'm listening to at the moment, and especially the ones that I think are somewhat similar in genre, or I feel like the fans of those artists will be interested in my music as well. So I listen to all kinds of music, including not really Taylor Swift, but I've heard some of her music, and I like a lot of her songs. But I might not mention Taylor Swift, I might mention other artists, right? In the same way I like ABBA, but I might not mention that in the videos on the Cornelis Gerard channel. So anyway, I just think it's really interesting because when we talk about algorithms, whether it's Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and how they're looking for signals in order to know how content relates to each other and what content to recommend to people, it's like this abstract thing, and we trust that the system is working. But when you see something like this, I think it's a really concrete example, right? Like I said, there's no hashtags, there's nothing in the description. I did this, I don't know if you know on YouTube, but you can, when you put a timestamp like this with, you can just put a description there, then you get this chapter section at the bottom of your YouTube channel. So that's really handy. But again, there I don't mention Chris Cornell or Taylor Swift at all. It's nowhere. But YouTube picked up on the fact, it was listening to what I was talking about, and decided, okay, he mentioned these artists, so let me just add that. So it's really interesting. And so I think if you are an independent artist, I think it's going to be a good idea to create a vlog and talk about your influences, talk about the influences of particular on particular songs or projects that you're working on, or maybe you can talk about artists that you're inspired by, or maybe you went to a gig and you can do a little vlog about that. This is something that you're doing anyway, right? You're not being dishonest, you're being authentic, you're talking about something that is real, and you can do it in a way that is going to provide those extra few little data points, and all of those little things I think can add up to make it easier for people to discover us, or to make it more likely that our content gets pushed out to the right people. And as I said, from what I've read and heard, and it seems that Spotify, it looks at these signals across other platforms, right? So it's not that these platforms are isolated in just looking at what's happening inside their own platform. They have technology that will look across platforms. So Spotify can, quote unquote, see what is happening on Instagram. It can see and listen into what is happening on YouTube. And that's why it's so important when you're, for example, on Instagram, if you're promoting a gig, tag the other bands. If you go to a gig and take a video, tag the artist, tag the band. All those little signals are contributing. Anyway, let me know what you think of this, and let me know what you think of the idea of having your own vlog about being an artist.